three women from Chicago, invited to LA party, lose life on arrival. This is Ayanna Hutton, a 33-year-old aspiring rapper and music promoter from the streets of Chicago, Illinois. Nina Davis, a 29-year-old mother who called the Chicago suburbs home. And this is Destiny Sims, a 26-year-old mother of 3 children who, despite recently relocating to Buckeye, Arizona, still carried Chicago deep in her blood. On January 28, 2023, all 3 of these vibrant young women would be found slumped dead inside a parked vehicle, their bodies riddled with bullets outside a luxury short-term rental property in one of Los Angeles's most affluent neighborhoods. But before I take you through every chilling detail of that horrific night, let me take you back to late January 2023, where a trip meant to celebrate dreams and opportunities in the music industry would transform into an absolute nightmare that nobody could have predicted. According to Los Angeles Police Department investigations and family accounts, the women traveled from the Midwest to Los Angeles in late January 2023, drawn by opportunities in the music industry. Ayanna had been making serious strides in her career. Friends told the Los Angeles Times that Ayanna had started to do well with promoting and getting into the music business, and she saw this Los Angeles trip as a pivotal moment, a chance to network, be seen, and take her aspirations to the next level. She was excited. Her mother would later share with reporters just how enthusiastic Ayanna had been about this opportunity. For Ayanna, this was not just another party. This was a professional stepping stone into an industry where connections mean everything and visibility can change your entire trajectory overnight.
You know you're authentically anointed when people who got more than you don't like you. And you're trying to figure out why you attacking me when I ain't got nothing. I hope y'all tap this church. God said, if they hate you at this level, what they gonna do when I elevate you to a whole nother place? This is just the beginning.
Destiny Sims shared similar dreams and similar hunger. Despite the demands of raising 3 children and having recently relocated to Arizona, she had never let go of her Chicago roots or her musical ambitions. Destiny was described as an up-and-coming artist herself, someone who was actively pursuing her dreams in an industry that demands relentless dedication. Nina Davis, while not directly tied to the music industry in the same way, was there as a supportive friend, someone who wanted to be present for this important moment in her friends' lives. She was described as vibrant and deeply family-oriented, the kind of person who showed up for the people she cared about. The group had secured a luxurious short-term rental property on Ellison Drive in Beverly Crest, an upscale area nestled in the hills above Beverly Hills. The home itself was a stunning property, previously sold in 2019 for over $2 million to a British music manager and partner. It was booked through 365 Hospitality by Brandon Carroll, a Chicago resident who would also become one of the wounded survivors of the attack that was about to unfold. On the night of January 27, 2023, the group decided to enjoy their time in Los Angeles by going bowling. There was anticipation for what the next day might bring in terms of the music event they had traveled so far to support. The group returned to the rental property on Ellison Drive around 2:30 in the morning on January 28th. The streets of Beverly Crest were quiet, peaceful, the kind of silence that exists in wealthy neighborhoods where nothing bad is ever supposed to happen. Ayanna, Nina, and Destiny were sitting inside a parked vehicle outside the home. Perhaps they were talking about the evening, but whatever conversation was happening in those final moments would be cut short in the most brutal way imaginable. At approximately 2:35 in the morning, gunfire suddenly erupted outside the home. The attackers approached under the cover of darkness, and they came prepared for maximum devastation. More than 30 rounds of ammunition were fired at the vehicle where the 3 women sat. The bullets tore through metal and glass with ruthless efficiency, finding their targets, Ayanna Hutton, Nina Davis, and Destiny Sims, who never stood a chance.
We do want to update you on our breaking news. At least 3 people are dead and 4 others are critical after a mass shooting in Beverly Crest.
It happened at Ellison Drive and RB Drive, and that's where we find KCAL News reporter Lauren Posen. Lauren, what have you learned?
Well, Rachel, we've gotten some more information here. Homicide detectives are going door to door looking to talk to residents, also possibly looking for some security camera video. Behind me here, this is Ellison Drive. This is the crime scene here that police are actively investigating. When we first got here just after 4:30, we saw officers talking to a group of people, interviewing them. We also noticed, I noticed one man was sitting on the ground as well. Now, police tell us that the happened just before 3 o'clock this morning, and they say that 3 of the victims were inside a car when shots were fired outside a home here on Ellison Drive, while 4 others were standing outside. Paramedics rushed them all to nearby hospitals, but 3 people died and 4 people are in critical condition. This, of course, is in the Beverly Crest area. It's an upscale neighborhood off of Benedict Canyon. It's unclear right now if police have a suspect in custody or if they're looking for someone. It's also unclear what led up to these shots being fired. Was there possibly a party here last night, some sort of gathering? Those are all details we're waiting to find out from detectives and police. I was also just told by a homicide detective that walked by us that a public information officer, someone who can speak on this case, is on the way here, hoping to fill in those blanks for us. So hopefully we'll have another update for you in our next half hour. Right now, though, it is pretty quiet out here. This is a quiet neighborhood, and here comes the detectives right now. They're exiting this home here after speaking with the homeowner there. So we will continue to stay out here and gather some more information, and we'll bring that to you again coming up in our next half hour. For now, we will send it back to you in the studio. Back to you.
All right, Lauren, thank you for that update, and we will look forward to your next report.
The Los Angeles County Medical Examiner coroner would officially confirm the identities of all 3 victims the following day. But the carnage did not end with these 3 deaths. 4 other people were wounded in the attack. 2 men suffered critical injuries, including Brandon Carroll, who had booked the property, while 2 others were treated and released. 2 individuals somehow managed to escape completely unharmed, though the psychological trauma of witnessing such brutality would undoubtedly haunt them for the rest of their lives. Inside the home, the party had continued for precious moments, attendees unaware that just outside, their friends were being slaughtered.
The coroner's now identified the 3 women who died in that shooting in Beverly Crest. They're 33-year-old Iana Hutton of Chicago, 29-year-old Nina Davis from Bolingbrook, Illinois, and 26-year-old Destiny Sims of Buckeye, Arizona. 4 other people are still hospitalized, 2 critical after the shooting at the short-term rental property. LAPD investigators are still trying to figure out what happened at the gathering on North Ellison Drive Saturday morning. Witnesses and security video are key to this case.
We now know the names of the 3 victims killed in a shooting in the Beverly Crest area. The 3 women were all in their 20s and 30s. Authorities have identified them as 33-year-old Chicago resident Iana Hutton, 29-year-old Nina Davis from Illinois, and 26-year-old Arizona resident Destiny Sims. KCAL News' Candace Crone has the latest on the search for a suspect.
Crime scene investigators worked late into the evening Saturday, combing this Beverly Crest neighborhood for clues after 7 people were and what police are calling
the evidence at scene. There's casings from, so we can confirm that this was a battle where the victims were.
I drove up the hill and I saw all the cops, and I literally was like, are they filming something? Because it just I didn't think. And then I saw news and a coroner and police cars all down this entire street. And I knew something bad had happened.
Neighbors reported hearing gunfire around 2:30 a.m. and called police. Officers responded to the 2700 block of Ellison Drive and discovered 3 people inside a car parked in front of the house. The other 4 victims were taken to nearby hospitals with serious injuries. Authorities say the residence where the shooting happened is a short-term rental and that there was a gathering of some sort when fire rang out.
I was shocked and I felt horrible. But I don't feel less safe because that's not typical. It's just shocking because this area has no crime.
Authorities towed several cars, including this Mazda SUV that was pierced with bullets. People who live nearby say they've seen more and more homes in the area turned into rentals. They're hoping incidents like this don't become common.
Up in Benedict Canyon, we're known for major party houses that people rent out major mansions. It's just, it's shocking. I mean, I'm blown away.
They rented for as much money as possible, so in, out, I never know who they are. It's not the first time a cop has been called to a rental house.
I reached out to LAPD again, still no description of the suspect or suspects involved in the. Detectives are hoping to find security video that will lead them to the. Reporting in Beverly Crest, Candace Crone, KCAL News.
The immediate question facing investigators was deceptively simple but critically important. Why would anyone target this group and unleash such overwhelming firepower on a vehicle full of young women who, by all accounts, had nothing to do with any criminal activity? Initial reports from the Los Angeles Police Department were cautious, with officials stating they believe the shooting may have started as some kind of dispute. But as detectives began piecing together evidence, interviewing survivors, canvassing the neighborhood for surveillance footage, and diving deep into the backgrounds of everyone present at that rental property that night, a far more disturbing picture began to emerge. The investigation would require massive coordination between multiple law enforcement agencies spanning across several states. The Los Angeles Police Department worked in tandem with authorities in Chicago, New York, and Indiana, following leads, tracking suspects, and building cases brick by brick. What they discovered was chilling. This massacre in Beverly Crest was directly connected to gang violence from Chicago. And the violence that routinely plagued the streets of the Windy City had followed these women all the way to California. Los Angeles Police Department Captain Jonathan Tibbett would eventually hold a press conference where he explicitly stated that the violence occurring in Chicago was having effects across the entire country, impacting other states in ways that demanded immediate attention. This was not just about one isolated incident in Beverly Crest. This was about a pattern of interstate gang violence that was spiraling out of control, reaching into communities that believed they were safe from such brutality. As investigators dug deeper, they uncovered a connection to another homicide that had occurred weeks earlier. In December 2022, a 30-year-old man named Julian Bynum, who also happened to be from Chicago, was shot multiple times in front of an apartment complex on Simpson Avenue in North Hollywood. Both attacks employed identical ambush-style tactics, with shooters approaching their victims when they were at their most vulnerable and unleashing overwhelming firepower before anyone could react or escape. Then came the breakthrough that would blow the case wide open. The alleged shooters were identified as 28-year-old Darius Sanford, 28-year-old Dejon Tompkins, and 23-year-old Dante Williams, all of them known gang members from Chicago. The arrests would take place across multiple states, demonstrating just how far these suspects had scattered after carrying out their deadly mission in Los Angeles. The suspects were ultimately arrested in New York City, Chicago, and Indiana, requiring extraordinary cooperation between law enforcement agencies across the country. Each arrest brought investigators one step closer to understanding the full scope of what had happened that night in Beverly Crest, and more importantly, why it had happened at all.
Several arrests have been made in an ambush-style in Beverly Crest. 3 women were down in January while sitting in a car outside a rented home, and police believe there is a connection to another in North Hollywood.
KTLA's Rachel Benetoff has new information about the arrests.
Hi, good evening. Police say they can't talk about the motive in the shootings, but say that they're associated with events that happened in Chicago. Both the victims and the suspects were originally from the Chicago area. The of 3 women in a January attack in Beverly Crest and a man in North Hollywood in December were all perpetrated by gang members from Chicago. That's what the Los Angeles Police Department said during a press conference led by Captain Jonathan Tibbett.
One thing that can be said is that the violence that occurs in Chicago today is having an effect on all of us, and we've become aware that it's affecting other states as well.
The alleged shooters have been identified as 28-year-old Darius Stanford, 28-year-old Dejon Tompkins, and 23-year-old Dante Williams. The investigation involved various law enforcement agencies as the suspects were arrested in different locations, including New York City, Chicago, and Indiana.
The collaboration and cooperation between law enforcement agencies across the country is crucial in ensuring that those responsible for such brazen acts of violence are brought to justice.
The Beverly Crest victims are 33-year-old Ayanna Hutton, 29-year-old Nina Davis, and 26-year-old Destiny Sims, all said to be from the Chicago area as well. Police say they were unintended targets. They were killed while sitting in a car outside of a short-term rental property on Ellison Drive in the early morning hours of January 28th. Investigators say a group of people who grew up together in Chicago were